Welcome back to another week in speculation. I'm Josh with GoCollect, and this week we're kicking things off with a look at some overlooked gems any comic collector should have their eye on. Before we get started, I want to encourage you to subscribe and turn on those notifications so you don't miss out when we drop a new video. This episode contains content from our blog, so if you want to read the full story and a whole lot more, then check out our blog, link in the description. Without further delay, let's get started. Bronze Age Marvel magazines are awesome. These books gave us early artwork from amazing creators such as George Perez. They had iconic first appearances, and they freaked us out with plenty of monsters. It's impossible to pick out a favorite, so we're taking a look at some of the hottest, rarest, and grossest issues out there. We're kicking things off with the first appearance of Man-Thing in Savage Tales #1. Back in 1971, Marvel wanted to bypass the Comics Code Authority and publish stories that wouldn't be allowed by the CCA due to graphic material and censors at the time. But if Marvel called this a magazine, then it's no problem. So how many graded copies are out there? This book is one of the top Marvel magazines out there with 861 graded copies in the CGC census. At the peak of the COVID boom, the 9.8 brought in $37,200. Now that things have come back to earth a bit, the 9.8 is selling just over $11,000. Let's move on to the Marvel mag that ran the longest, The Savage Sword of Conan. The first magazine in the series is fantastic, and it's made up of all existing Savage Sword of Conan stories, even the Savage Tales stories that Conan appeared in. Now this is an odd one when you look at it through investor goggles. The most recent sale of a CGC 9.8 was last month for $995. Back in a 2005 Heritage auction, the same grade brought in $1,150. And 20 years later, the numbers haven't varied a whole lot. If you ask anyone to name Marvel's best Bronze Age creations, the Punisher's name is bound to come up. And Punisher in magazines? Sign me up. In comic books, he was bound by the restrictions of the Comics Code, but in Marvel's magazines, Punisher in all his bloody glory. Marvel Preview #2 was part of a planned revamp by the magazine. Things were moving away from the standard monster mags. They decided to focus on Punisher's origin, making the decision to focus less on monsters and more on superheroes. 756 copies are registered on the CGC census, and if you want a 9.8, you're going to pay a pretty penny. In the 6.0 grade, even though prices are the highest they've been, you're looking at a 90-day sales average of just $185. Want to know something that makes this next magazine just a little bit cooler than the others on this list? The Deadly Hands of Kung Fu #19 is the first the readers saw of the White Tiger as drawn by a young George Perez. Featuring stories of Shang-Chi, Iron Fist, and others, there are 238 graded copies and only 12 in the 9.8 grade. One of those 9.8 sold through Heritage just a couple days ago and on August 15, 2023 for nearly $4,000. There is a single CGC 9.9 out there, but it's never appeared at auction. What kind of cash do you think it would bring in? Did you know that Star-Lord's first appearance is in a magazine? Marvel Preview #4, to be specific. Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning brought the character out of storage to form Guardians of the Galaxy in 2008. After that, the rest is history. It's not hard to find graded copies of Marvel Preview #4. Current values for high-grade copies are on the upswing, with the 90-day average for a 9.8 at $3,300, about $600 up from the one-year sales average. Just a few issues later, a little character you might have heard of named Rocket Raccoon made his first appearance in the pages of Marvel Preview #7. There are way fewer graded copies than Star-Lord's first appearance, and values tend to be much higher. The current one-year average for a CGC 9.8 is $6,000. Alright, let's move on to the legend that is Marvel Comics Super Special #1. If the title alone doesn't grab your attention, then buckle up. This magazine bragged about something I think we can safely say few magazines have done before. This magazine was printed with real Kiss blood, and it wasn't lying either. Gene Simmons himself said that the band was flown to Marvel's printing plant in Buffalo, where a notary public witnessed the blood being drawn. The band took promo pictures of themselves dumping vials of blood into ink drums and officially solidified this as one of the most disgustingly unique magazines of all time. If you're into that sort of thing. The last time a 9.8 appeared at auction was back in 2021, when a copy brought in $2,500, a record high. In the mid-grade, you're looking at prices in the $250 range. There are so many amazing magazines out there, and for the rest of the top 10, hop over to our site and check out Doug's blog. So which Marvel magazines did we leave off the list? Let us know in the comments. In honor of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, we're throwing things back to 1996 in the Mission Impossible one-shot written by Marv Wolfman. It was created to be a prequel of the film and starred Tom Cruise playing Ethan Hunt as the lead of the film. Unlike the movies, this Mission Impossible did not technically star Tom Cruise. See, even though Tom Cruise pretty much makes Mission Impossible, Marvel did not own the rights to use Tom Cruise's likeness for this issue. So what do you do with the Mission Impossible comic with no Tom Cruise? The folks at Marvel, along with artist Rob Liefeld, decided to draw Ethan Hunt as an average brown-haired action hero who may coincidentally favor Cruise, but not so much that they could be sued. After the issue was finished and had gone to press, Tom Cruise read his advance copy and expressed concern that Ethan looked, in his words, too feminine in a couple panels on page 3. Since Tom was displeased, Marvel ordered the printing destroyed and re-released with the panels replaced. That's right, the whole initial run was trashed because of a couple panels and one person's opinion. These are the panels he was talking about, so what do you think? Did the original look too feminine, or was it worth destroying the whole initial printing? Of course, despite the order, a few copies are still out there. Just a couple months ago, an original CGC 9.8 sold for $330. In fact, the newsstand variant with the original art has sold for as much as $500, both sales through eBay. As for the copies with the new art, we rarely see them appear at auction either. The CGC 9.8 hasn't been recorded cracking the $40 mark yet. Though rare, the variants with the unedited art show up at auction more often than the corrected copies. In a funny way, when Marvel ordered these books destroyed, they accidentally turned them into perfect collector's items. At the end of the day, the book has a lot going on. You've got a Rob Liefeld cover, first comic appearance of Ethan Hunt, first Paramount Comics book, and a Mission Impossible story by Marv Wolfman. Add in the possibility that you might find a copy with a panel that made an A-lister so uncomfortable that they all ended up getting destroyed, and you have a treasure worth hunting for. Do you have a copy of either edition? You might want to check out page 3. There aren't too many out there, so we definitely want you to tell us how you found your copy. That does it for this week, so once again, check out the blog, which is linked down in the description below, and be sure to check out our price guides for graded comics, video games, and concert posters. Also, we're excited to announce the launch of our graded magazine price guide. We have plenty of popular series available: Nintendo Power, Sports Illustrated, Playboy, and many more. Sign up for free today to check it out. Thanks so much for tuning in for another week in spec. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you never miss a video. See you next week.